AFC Champions League put to one side now for a couple of weeks. Attention now turns to the bread and butter of the league. Round 33 is coming up this Sunday. It's the last round before the split when K-League 1 is then divided into two, Final A and Final B. I still hate the names.
Yep.
We could have thought something better than Final A, Final B, but it is what it is. So before round 32, it looked like we might have had quite a lot of stuff still to be decided, but results, particularly with Daejeon and what they drew with Gangwon, and it meant that they weren't able to get into Final A. So we'll start with the games that do have something on the line, and where better to start is the game that we are on commentary duty for, Seoul versus Jeonbuk. So, what's on the line, Matthew? Tell us what's on the line in this one.
Apart from my dignity on the microphone when I get everything wrong. No. Well, it's a place in the top six, Paul. Seoul are fifth on 47 points with 55 goals scored and a goal difference of 15. Jeonbuk sit in seventh on 46 points with 37 goals scored and a goal difference of 6. So, simply put, a win for either team will seal it. A draw could mean that both Jeonbuk and Seoul are in a top 6 berth, but it would have to be a score draw. Incheon have scored 38 goals, Jeonbuk 37, but Incheon have conceded more, 37 to 31. So if the two teams are level on points and goals scored, then it would come down to goal difference. Jeonbuk have the better goal difference of +6 to +1 compared to Incheon.
Simple.
Simple. I hope everybody got that. But yeah, so it really is kind of between these two. I know Incheon, like I said, Incheon can come into the mix here, but yeah, there is kind of a bit of a finalish feel to this one.
Yeah, it's worked out well, hasn't it, that they picked this game to be on TV or for English commentary weeks ago. But it's worked out well that obviously two big clubs going at it. Obviously, this fixture gets picked a lot, but in the circumstances, it's probably the best one that they could have picked. So yeah, I mean, but it's all about perhaps Seoul. Will they finally get that win over Jeonbuk? It dates back to July 2017, which I think is 19 league games ago, or 21 in all competitions because of the two FA Cup games last year. So it's been a long time. But then again, we said that we thought, oh well, now the first meeting at Sangam this season when Jeonbuk were really in a bad way, we thought, well, maybe this is the time for Seoul to finally get their win. But there was that new manager bounce, wasn't there? Kind of, because it was the first game
the glory period of the season.
Yeah, that first half.
Yeah, that first 30 seconds actually.
Yeah,
Gustavo with the early goal, but this one, I'm sure they would quite like to get their first win over Jeonbuk in a while in such circumstances. It would put Jeonbuk into Final B, and Jeonbuk are the only team to have played in K-League 1 not to have finished in the bottom half of the split since the split's been a thing. So it would be quite historic if Jeonbuk were to finish there. It'd be very embarrassing for Jeonbuk and their parent company, Hyundai Motors, and all the money they put in and spend and everything they've done in the transfer window and the managers that they brought in and things. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game there because I don't see how this one's going to go really.
We've got to factor in the fact that they've flying back from Bangkok. And I know there's a direct flight, obviously, from Bangkok to Incheon or Gimpo airports, but you still got to get a Jeonju, haven't you? I mean, you must have done that journey a few times. How long does it take to get from Incheon or Gimpo to Jeonju?
It takes about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. But you'd also think that they may have stayed in Bangkok. I don't know, but they may have stayed in Bangkok another day or something, perhaps do another day's training there. And you'd imagine that they'd probably just stay in Seoul and try and get a training pitch there. Who knows? They may have gone back to
Yeah,
Jeonbuk. It's
makes more
something I
sense to do
probably
that.
should have checked. But yeah, no, but I don't know. I think I really think that this one will probably see the end of the run for Jeonbuk, which might not be a bad thing in hindsight. Obviously, it's going to be a very bad thing going into Final B. I don't want them to go into Final B as a fan either. I'm not calling for that, but I'm thinking that perhaps just get it over with. It's not like they're going to get relegated, and they're not going to finish second, so they're not going to enter the Champions League that way, but they're still in the FA Cup. Perhaps just ripping the Band-Aid off and letting them have an excuse to play kids in the league and focus on the Champions League and FA Cup. But obviously I don't want that. I'd like them to beat Seoul. I would hate the humiliation of FC Seoul sending Jeonbuk into Final B. But yeah, anyway, I think it might happen.
I think it'll be a draw personally, but which could well mean that depending on how many goals are scored. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what you saw with the game against Bangkok United, what kind of team selection would you like to see? I mean, there's not a lot of options left, is there? With the amount
there's not really
like.
I mean, I thought that the team he selected against Bangkok United was reasonably strong for the players that are available. I don't know who they can really pick up top other than Gustavo for this. I think Min Son-min has to play. I don't know whether he'll start, but I mean, he will feature. We know he'll feature for sure. Han Kyo-won is becoming more and more of a fixture as the wait for Son Min-kyu. I mean, it'd be great if Lee Dong-jun was available.
Or Lee Dong-guk, get him
Or
back
Lee
in
Dong-guk.
for a game. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, he could probably do a good 10 minutes, 20 minutes and get a goal or something, wouldn't he? But yeah, I mean, to be honest, even though I was not impressed with the team I saw, what I saw on the pitch against Bangkok United, I don't really know who else is that. Who else is available? And it's almost damning that it's come to this because Jeonbuk's got a massive squad, so there should be loads of players ready to be picked. They've got the whole B team they can select from as well. What's happened to that project? And they keep pointing the finger to the injuries, and there are some injuries, but they keep pointing to Paek Sun-ho and Son Min-kyu missing, and they are big players, but they're not the whole team. Like, there's enough players in there to cover for them. I would like to see Hong Jong-ho start, I guess. If we're going to say one change, I'd definitely like to see Hong Jong-ho back in the starting 11 at centre-back. Whether that's for Koo Jae-rong or Jong Tae-hyuk, take your pick at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Maybe An Hyun-bom out and Lee Dong-jun in. That might be a bit more attacking.
Oh, you could put An Hyun-bom at fullback, at right back, and play Lee Dong-jun on the right. That would be great. I think Lee Dong-jun, he got a bit of a rest against Bangkok United. He isn't obviously fully fit, but that'd be, if he's fit for this game, he could have an influence. It's been a shame that his season hasn't panned out the way it was hoping. But when he is playing, he's a massive threat. So yeah, so that's we're gonna see, but I honestly don't see many changes.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think Ilychenko and Willian will be very important in this one. Ilychenko might feel like he's got a point to prove against the team that allowed him to go last summer. Feels like it was yesterday now, but we'll see. I think draw, but yeah, it will depend on I think the service they get into Ilychenko and Willian if he's feeling up for it, because he's scored some important goals this season. He's sometimes provided that little bit of magic as well when there's been very little else to go off. But let's move on to the next game. That's perhaps the second most important game of the weekend in K League One. Ulsan versus Incheon. Well, what's on the line there, Matthew?
Well, it's a place in the top 6 for Incheon, and also preserving that 8-point cushion for Ulsan. Incheon, They are 6 on 47 points, as we've just alluded to, one more than Jeonbuk. They need to at least match Jeonbuk's result against FC Seoul to guarantee a top half finish. Although it gets a little bit more complicated than that, because if Jeonbuk draw 0-0 and Incheon lose, but then there needs to be a 1-goal swing to see Jeonbuk then move above Incheon. So, anyway, basically Incheon just need to match the result for the most part. For Ulsan, though, well, Pohang are closing in, possibly. Not really. They had the chance and they didn't take it at the weekend.
What did they? I think they were unfairly had a goal chalked off. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I'll
Did you
wait
see
till the VAR footage is released with the audio.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Perhaps they should be a bit closer, and I think they really should be. To be honest, they're playing so well. But Pohang, they're away to Suwon Blue Wings, so you think that's probably 3 points for the Steelers there, especially given that they didn't have to travel midweek. So I think Ulsan they need to get a positive result to just maintain this 8-point cushion, and even more so now that Hong Yong-bo gambled with rotating his squad so heavily in the week. He now needs to prove that decision was the right one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is an Incheon team in form as well. They are going to be very, very confident, not scared at all about going to Ulsan. And teams have won there at the Munsu. They've picked up points there, so there's no reason why Incheon can't go there and get a good result. I just do think that Ulsan will probably get the job done. It might not be very pretty, but I think they'll just have enough to get the job done because they're going to have to respond to the defeat.
It'll be Jeonbuk in the last 10 minutes. It always is.
Yeah.
Jeonbuk 80 plus is. I thought that's actually his full name, isn't it? He's always on the score sheet at the end there.
Yeah.
But, your head has to say Ulsan, but I do think Incheon will make it difficult for him. It's not going to be an easy game for Ulsan by any stretch of the imagination. But I imagine it's going to just be a late winner to edge past.
I'm going to wonder as well if you're Martin Adam, what's he got to do to start a game?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
I know he has that impact off the bench, and he's proved to be devastating in doing that. And last season, I thought, okay, he's just sort of getting acclimatized to the league, but now, he's just like, well, what we've got to do. Also, worth pointing out that Incheon won at the Munsu earlier this season. It was in July. They won 2-1 with a Hernandez 95th minute. So they've done it before. Let's see what happens. But there are some other games that I wouldn't say, might say they are dead rubbers in terms of their impact on round 33. Gwangju against Gangwon. Gangwon, for Gwangju, first of all, the hosts, they're already in Final A. So it's kind of, they're playing with house money now, to borrow a phrase from Ryan's playbook. But Gangwon, they have now a 4-point cushion over Suwon Blue Wings. And they'll just have to sort of do whatever they can to try and keep that. Now, Gangwon weren't very good against Daejeon, but Daejeon were probably worse somehow in that second half. So this game, more about Gangwon. We'll have to see how they see if they can take confidence in eking out a draw at home to Daejeon last week. But there's not a lot on this really in terms of what we're going to see heading into the split. Both teams obviously confirm where they're going to be, Final A and Final B. What's your prediction for this one?
Gwangju. They may be confirmed for Final A, but this is a nice, easy 3 points before they have to face the other 5 again. And, while Ulsan and Pohang are kind of a bit away from everything, there is still all to play for between 3rd and 6th. So, and Gwangju, they may fancy themselves as part of that conversation. They have upset a lot of teams this season, and there's no reason why they can't do it one more time after the split. So, Gwangju for this one.
Yeah, I think what's important about round 33 is that there is a rest, there's an international break the week after. So there's no reason to think, oh, well, we've secured finally. Now we can sort of rotate things a bit. Yeah. Also, I want to mention Gwangju's goalkeeper Kim Kyung-min. Awful news that he lost his son. His son passed away last week, and that's why he wasn't in the team for Gwangju's most recent game. So our thoughts to him and his family. It was an awful thing to happen to anybody.
Yeah.
He's had a great season as well. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. Really is a great goalkeeper. I was looking at the stats earlier for goalkeepers, and he has by far, according to Y Scout, prevented the most goals in the league this season. Should probably be in the conversation for the national team. But yeah, it's hopefully hopefully we do see him back on the pitch again soon. Obviously when he feels like he's ready. But the other game, we mentioned it already before, I suppose, in some ways, is it Suwon Blue Wings at home to Pohang Steelers now. Suwon, they had that chance, didn't they, to sort of try and draw themselves nearer to Gangwon. In fact, going back a few months, they looked like they were going to finish 10th. They looked like they were the team that had a bit of momentum, but it's just going from bad to worse for the Blue Wings. That loss to Daejeon was, that proved to be the end for Kim Myung-soo, as we talked about last week. Yeom Ki-hoon's first game in charge. Well, it's desperate, isn't it now, really, for Suwon Blue Wings? And last year they had to go through the playoffs, and we think, well, you would probably back them because of their support, and they do have good players to get through a playoff, but they might not even have that opportunity. Yeah. It might just be straight down, which would be just incomprehensible. I did an article earlier in the season to look at which team would be the most successful team in K-League history to have gone down, and Busan I Park, with a number of titles that they've won in their past, have up until now been the biggest team to go down. Suwon would eclipse that, so it would be a massive shock if they went down. But they have difficult game against Pohang. Like you said earlier, Matthew, Pohang were at home in the Champions League in midweek. They haven't had to come all the way back from elsewhere in Asia. I just can't see anything other than a Pohang win for this one.
Yeah, the Pohang want to try and push Ulsan as far as possible, and yeah, they're just playing too well. I think Suwon's in disarray, and Pohang win.
Pohang win. All right, second to last. Daejeon versus Jeju United. What's on the line? Well, not much, but in the medium to long term, it's survival for both teams. Daejeon's draw with Gangwon last time out means final A is out of reach, as I've already said. Jeju were already condemned to the bottom half after their loss to FC Seoul in round 31. So at the moment, Daejeon on 42 points. They are 12 clear of Suwon FC, and so you would obviously 4 more points would seal survival between now and the end of the season, obviously with 18 still to play. Jeju, though, they are only 5 points clear of Suwon FC, so it's very much squeaky bum time for the Islanders. I mean, Jeju, we had this conversation, I think, a few weeks ago, is that they're fine. If it's going to be that bottom three. The Jeju seemed determined to get into that conversation for one reason or another. Jung Jo-guk was in charge for their last game, but it didn't quite go to plan for them. Jeju, three defeats in a row now, and I think Daejeon at home, it's going to be 3 points for the Purples. I'm not sure about what you think about it.
I'm backing Daejeon to win because we've obviously got on Patreon at the moment our post-Survivor mini game, which is the winner's circle, which is we just pick teams. It's more like a league format, this one, rather than lives. And I've unveiled my strategy because I'm currently leading with 3 wins and the most goals scored. And I've basically just been picking the team to play Jeju each week.
Brilliant.
So I'll be picking Daejeon this week.
Well, there we go.
I'm going to see how many points I can get by backing the team who's playing Jeju each week, because I was that offended by their quality of football when I saw them in Sogwipo. I'm still traumatized from sitting through that match. I disliked how dull the fan chanting was, and that comes from a team that I support a team that has a set list when it comes to Ultras songs, and so
They've
I
got
just
greatest hits.
everything that day. Yeah, I was like, I need something to vent my anger at this, and then Luke came along with his winner's circle, and I was like, oh, I've got a plan for this.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, they're just, I was just, and a fantastic stadium as well, and fantastic staff, and so I do feel a little bit bad, but no, for what I had to witness for 90 minutes, I'm going to pick whoever they're versing every game until I actually can't, and then we'll have to get tactical. So,
Fair
sorry,
enough.
a long rant there. No actual
Yeah.
logic behind it, other than I just don't want Jeju to get anything.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think home win for the Purples. Pressure's off, kinda, but knowing that a win would basically mean they are safe pre-split would be just a tonic for them. Finally, then Daegu FC versus Suwon FC. Daegu are safe in final A. I'm not sure how, but people tell me that they are because my maths is horrifically bad. But Suwon FC, obviously, as we already know, are in a real relegation dogfight. So they are fighting for their lives. I mean, if Jeju lose and Suwon FC win, then all of a sudden it's down to 2 points and it's anybody's game. Then, isn't it? It's just that is the cat amongst the pigeons. So they are fighting for their lives. One thing that we haven't talked about that we said we were going to talk about last week, but we didn't, was Lars Veldevik was finally they made a decision about his future. They terminated his contract. I haven't seen an apology from him on social media. You would think that he would come out and at least he might have been told not to say anything in the sort of immediate aftermath of everything that happened.
Yeah,
But he hasn't.
it's
I
been
have to
very
check his
quiet.
Instagram.
It's been very
Yeah,
quiet. I
nothing on
mean,
there.
he actually was back home before the announcement was made.
Right.
So yeah, no, I don't really know what's gone there. I know obviously they kind of they kept him, and um is he had obviously had a very lengthy ban, deservedly so, and I think they did right to probably keep him. Although I don't know whether that's worth the club having somebody on their books that they have to keep paying every week that they can't play. But obviously we've seen these incidents before, and not trying to imply anything here, but obviously we've seen players who then have to get to leave and go to another league where they're not banned.
Yeah.
So obviously he got to see out his ban here, which I'm sure he was fine doing. So probably agreed to get that done. But yeah, anyway, no, I've not seen anything. But he was home before the announcement was made, and now he's away from the league.
Yeah, but just
Mm.
the very game before he got pulled over for drink driving, he scored in, didn't he? We showed just how good that he is, how dangerous that
Yeah,
he is, and him not being there for Suwon, you have to wonder if it's not going to be Lee Sung-woo, you have to think, well, where's the goals going to come from? And that will be my concern for them throughout the
yeah,
rest
a
of
lot.
this season.
There's a large burden on Lee Sung-woo this season. And to be honest, I think if Lee Sung-woo pulls him out of this, it could be the making of him. Really, making
Yeah,
of him. I mean, what kind of sentence is that? He's Lee Sung-woo. We all know who he is, but um, this would be kind of beyond just his goal scoring. It would be like leadership qualities as
yeah,
well here. And I know there's other players as well, but Suwon have lost players as well this season who've left, who've retired, like Park Joo-ho and things. So
yeah.
it's been, yeah, they've obviously just not clicked on the pitch as well, and some of the players they've brought in haven't worked out. But if Lee Sung-woo keeps firing, can drag them out, then be quite um, impressive from a leadership kind of perspective.
Yeah, I still think they'll finish 10th. But I think with players like Lee Sung, they'll be able to get over the line in a
Yeah.
playoff. But just about Daegu, they've lost Zenia. Obviously, he's had a like a broken rib or two,
Hmm.
and but obviously he's a huge miss for them because of just sort of his iconic status at that football club. But it hasn't affected the team's form. They're in great form. In fact,
Yeah.
they are the form team in K League One.
Is
4
this?
wins
Yeah.
from 5 and unbeaten. And the game obviously you saw that their last game was against Jeonbuk and Go Jae Hyun stepping up
I wish I hadn't
when
seen it. Yeah.
yeah Go Jae Hyun stepping up, scoring 2, and then they also had that sort of Barcelos scored as well. So
Yeah.
home
It's.
at home, I just think I can't see anything. I can't see anything else other than a Daegu win here.
I mean, the league's far better with Senior in it, and
It is.
Daegu's still far better with Senior in it. But it must be reassuring now that Daegu know that they're no longer a Cecina team. They are. I mean, they never were, but he was such an influential figure that when you saw a team sheet without Senior's name on, you always fancied the 3 points.
Yeah.
But now Daegu have. Yeah, they're more than Cecina.
Yep. There we go. That should be the slogan.
That's what they should put. We're more than when you come in at the station. There you go.
Yeah.
We're more than Cecina, but
Yeah.
we still love him.
As do we all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going for a home win then